What do you worship and why? These are the questions that the archetype of the temple asks of us. Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome back to Spirit Seeds, where we explore archetypal energies to expand our personal power. We work with this archetypal oracle deck, Kim Cran's Wild Unknown. If you haven't checked out her stuff yet, please do. She is fabulous. Her artwork is beautiful. The descriptions are they resonate. Almost every single one. They're universal, as archetypes tend to be. So yeah, if you're into archetypes at all, check out Kim Cran's. So that's enough of my pitch for her today. Yeah, so the card that I pulled today was the Temple. Now, what I like to do when I pull cards is the first thing I like to do is take a look at the card, out the colors and the image, and see what kind of messages come through just visually. A lot of times in numbers too, but I'm not very well versed in numerology yet. So the first thing that strikes me are the shades of green. Green is known to indicate health, healing, growth, and renewal. Obviously connection to nature. We even have, these little plants over here that, that's bringing in the natural world to this reading. The next thing I notice are the yellow shades, the shades of gold. It looks like they're kind of emanating out from these praying hands and representing probably higher wisdom, enlightenment. That's kind of what golds and yellows tend to represent. The dark blues and the shadows. Blues tend to represent mystery, the unknown, introspection, the realms of the unconscious. Water, the element of water is deeply connected to the unconscious and emotions and internalized aspects of the psyche. And it looks like what's happening here is this illumination is coming up through the psyche and through the mystery, through the unknown, to maybe bring us some clarity. The triangle is pointing upward. That is a universal symbol of spiritual ascent. And it's also, part of sacred geometry, unity of mind, body, spirit, and a sense of reaching or pointing towards divine guidance. Is sort of that tip, that apex. We talk the rays of light, the vines, the nature aspects, and you can see, just like the archetype itself, on the card there are layers of light and shadow, light and dark. The light parts, the light is coming out from the hands, indicating that, the self and the act of reverence is bringing forth the light into the darker shadowed areas, which you can see are already being illuminated in some places where the blue is a lot lighter. So what does the temple mean for us? What does it mean for us for consciousness development? What does it mean for us for growth and clarity? So the temple is a place of reverence. And when I think of the temple, I think about, spaces that connect us to the divine, spaces and sacred spaces. These can be group spaces. These can be personal spaces. These can be spaces in the home. These can be spaces with pets. Typically, one of the major ways that we access this temple, or can find, a material manifestation of the temple in our world, is through nature. Which, right? I mean, everything comes back to nature. I don't know many things that are, when we're working with the divine and we're working with the spirit and we're working with energies that exist in different realms of reality, there's no better way to connect to any of those than through nature. Nature's the key. Nature is the medicine. So like some examples of when you might feel this energy of the temple, this energy of reverence, this energy of the sacred is, imagine walking through a forest on a sunlit afternoon and seeing the way that the light dapples through the trees. Water shapes. I don't know if you guys are you into orbs, but I'm really into orbs. And so many times when you're around water and you take photos, you notice these translucent blobs of light that appear in strange yet important places in the photos and in the world and on, you know, the earth grid itself. So, I mean, this can also be, when we're talking about the temple, we can also be talking about things that limit. So if you notice too in the card, there's this aspect here. This of sort of the light being contained, and there's even a border around the light, a border around the enlightenment, a border around the growth, the expansion, the evolution of soul. And so, you know, and around that border is this darkness, right? So when we're thinking about what that could be, what it could be in shadow, this temple archetype, we start to think about things like cult mentalities. We start to think about things like exclusion and hierarchies um, and spiritual narcissism is part of the dark side of the temple. Um, we can get really trapped in dogmatic practices and narrow-minded points of view when we're working with temple energy. So we have to be really careful and make sure that are honoring the light parts of the temple, the profound, and really what the light parts of the temple, what it comes down to is, and why we can access it so readily in nature, is at its highest form of expression. The temple is extreme reverence for all life, reverence for self, reverence for the planet, reverence for others, reverence for relationship with self, others, and planet. So tuning into the temple, how do we do it? What do we do? One thing you can do to tap into this energy of the temple, this energy of reverence for life, this sacredness for this journey, is to build a shrine, to build an altar. And what I suggest is, instead of using things like money or material possessions, or going out or buying anything to build this altar or shrine, you use only found objects. And what that does when we use these found objects in building our shrines and altars is it reinforces the knowledge and the wisdom of reverence for that which cannot be bought. You know, it's reverence for things outside of the material world. And this takes us outside of the paradigms that we are trying to work to dissolve and help us start creating the new world. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Tune in next time to see where these archetypes take us.